Doesn't it feel like ages since we've had a natter with our friends at Compassion? Well, it has been quite a while. But it is great to not only have the regular Tim here, but also to have somebody else with us. So first of all, good morning to you, Tim. Now, for those who will be watching this back on the video, we can explain why it's so dark. You're currently in a hotel room. What is it? Darlington?
Darlington, yeah, beautiful place. Absolutely. I get all the great jobs, so I get to go to Darlington this week.
So,
and if you're from Darlington, no offense.
So, presumably you're there because you did something yesterday or you're doing something today.
I've been here since Monday, actually, at the Christ Central Leaders Devoted Conference. So we've been having a great time with them, where we have a partnership with them. And so it's just been brilliant to be amongst those leaders.
And we've got somebody else, somebody who's never been on the show before, and we're looking forward to hearing about her story. She's called Regina. Now, she was originally from Bolivia, and then she moved to Spain, and now you're in the UK. Regina, good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Now, clearly a well-travelled lady. So tell us, you're in the UK now. I've got that right, haven't I? From Bolivia, then you moved to Spain, and now you're in the UK.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. And was that because of work? Was that because of family?
First, I moved from Bolivia because I wanted to help my family. So I went to Spain. Everybody was going to Spain, and my friend said, you go to Spain, it's much easier, and then you can help your family. And then I went to Spain, worked there for around 9 years. My family all are in Bolivia, so I didn't have anything in Spain that could keep me there. And then also I was praying for a husband. And then I moved to UK. And then that was the answer my prayers. I met my husband in a church where we are currently going. And yeah, I'm in the UK around 8 years now.
So it was the UK that granted you your husband, Regina.
Yeah.
Now, clearly a well-travelled lady. I just want to talk about that. So you moved from Bolivia, which was your home, it was where your family were, to Spain, presumably on your own. That must have been quite a daunting thing.
Yeah, it is. I was 24 years old at that time, and then it was exciting. But being in Spain, even they speak the same languages, I feel like they don't understand what I'm saying. I didn't understand them, and then I remember my family a lot when they're Christmas time, or when I just bother between brother and sister fighting, and then it has that lonely time. Yeah.
And just explain to us a little bit about what Bolivia is like, because most people listening to this will never have been. And this is where your story starts, and your family story with Compassion, isn't it?
Yeah. Yes. Bolivia is a beautiful place. Everybody should go to visit. I live in the middle, Cochabamba. Well, I used to live there. My family's in there, in the middle of Bolivia, Cochabamba. It's a tropical temperature, and we have plenty fruit and vegetables and all that kind of things. There's a lot of poverty, and in my time, it was that when I was a child. Even if we have that many things, it's not for everyone. Not everyone can afford, not everyone can. It's still happening, but yeah.
And just tell us, so you mentioned about poverty there in Bolivia, and what's the education like? So when you have children there, presumably your parents, they didn't actually know that you would get education, and they didn't know what your future would be like.
Yeah, in my case, my parents used to try to do their best they could. Many times they couldn't buy shoes to go to school. They couldn't buy books to go to school, and even food. They couldn't give us the food we need to keep us like strong and then healthy. Mom sometimes used to say, I have this money. Do you want to use to buy food, or do you want to use to go to school on the bus? And then we used to choose always food. But that meant to walk for 2 hours, just one way, and then come back another 2 hours. As a child,
goodness. It's just so to actually have to make that decision as a child. You said that your parents would say, right, we've got this little bit of money here, and you can either eat or you can be educated. That's the decision that you had to make as a child.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't think they meant for a bad way, but then they wanted to warn us. We can have nice now with this money, but that will mean all of us walk home or to school.
My goodness, it's just, do you know, I can't appreciate the struggles that your parents must have had to have gone through with that, where you've got your children that are your pride and joy, and you have to make that tough decision of, we can either give them a future via education with this money that we've got, or we can keep them alive with food. That's just absolutely awful. An awful decision that your parents had to make. And also you being part of it as well, because having to potentially walk to school, or walk to school being hungry, or not walking to school and having food. Now, if you have got any questions, what we'll do, we'll play a song. But if you have got any questions for the team here, Regina or Tim, then do get in touch with us and let us know. Send it through to our studio WhatsApp 0161 511 9555, because it's you supporting Compassion that can change lives like Regina's and her siblings and her whole family. In fact, we'll be talking about this next, about what's referred to as the trickle-down effect, where you help one person but you help the whole family as well. Go over to the website and have a look, compassionuk.org. But if you've got any questions, we'll put them to Regina next. 0161 511 9555. This is Connect Radio, and we're chatting to our friends at Compassion UK. We've got Tim live from a hotel room. Now, Tim, just tell us actually a little bit about your title, because we know that there'll be new people listening who haven't got a clue, not only what Compassion is, but also who you are.
Yeah, sure. Well, I usually just say I'm Tim from Compassion UK, and that's enough. But the title that I have is Head of Church Development. So I work a lot with larger churches and with denominations and networks, just trying to win hearts and minds and help them to understand the ministry of compassion a little bit more, so that hopefully they would come over and want to partner their churches with Compassion to see many, many children released from poverty in Jesus' name. So, you know, it's a privilege to speak up for children and to spend time with leaders.
And we've also got, I'd love to say live from Bolivia, but no, she's also live from the UK. We've got Regina Kemp, and Regina has got a great story. We've heard a little bit about her painting a picture about what life is like in Bolivia for many people still, which is why Compassion are working hard in that country and many other countries. But let's just go to when things started to change for you and your family. So I'm always intrigued. Do you receive a letter? Do you receive a phone call from somebody at Compassion saying that your sibling or yourself has got a sponsor? How does it work, Regina?
Yes. Because my family was in such poverty to the point we used to go to look for food behind the restaurants where the beans and the leftovers are, and eat that food. And also my parents couldn't afford to pay the rent of the room we had on that time. We moved different places, and we ended in a place next to us was living an elderly lady, and at her church they had a Compassion, and she spoke to them and said, can you visit and help this family, because she saw us bad. And they came first and say, we want to help you, we are compassionate, things like that. But my mom at first didn't believe, because before we hear from people saying, you are poor, you will never be anything, you smell, you just nothing. And my mom says, no, people normally tell us we are nothing. Why somebody want to help us? And then they came second time later and they said, we really want to help you. And then we went to Compassion. It was the first time I sat on the table and they brought nice food for me. That was, I was feeling like, oh my goodness, this is just so delicious.
And quickly, how old were you then, Regina?
I was around 9 years old.
Okay, wow, 9 years old. Okay.
Yeah, and then the teacher who was on that time, she asked me, "Would you like second?" I said, "Oh, please, can I have a second time?"
Wow.
And yeah, it was just marvelous because the plate was there, fork and knife was there that we could eat, even if we didn't know how to use it. And they even teach us to do like develop some skills for home, bakery or cleaning or anything. And then they said, if you need books, let us know to go to school. We visited dentists, we went to doctor, think we didn't do, never did.
How many were in your family, Regina? How many siblings?
We are 5. I have a brother, my oldest brother, my youngest sister, mom and dad at that time. Okay. Yeah, I was the middle one. And they also took my sister. Yes, in the end, my sister was the one who got the sponsor, but because they saw how much my family was in need, they took me as well. The letters, all the things, the letters get my sister, but all the other things I got the same benefit. And then because of that, also my family got benefit because they were looking after us and then how we were as a family. If mom was sick, they moved. They said we can take the doctor. Or my mom didn't know how to read, and then they were organizing a group that moms in that time they can learn to read and things like that.
One thing as well, which is coming across, and we don't often think about this, there are the practicalities of actually feeding somebody, but there's also the other thing of showing them respect. And you were saying that it's the first time that you'd sat at a table and you'd actually had a knife and fork and you'd been shown respect like every human being is entitled to, regardless of how much money they have or haven't got in the bank. But that must have been something really different for you because you're experiencing people who were actually feeding you and being nice to you for once.
Yeah, for me, the years I've been in Compassion, it was the best. I've been there for around 10 years until I was 19 when I finished high school. And then it was just a joy. And the main thing I would say, compassion taught me about Jesus. They gave me Jesus, and Jesus changed my life, my family life. For me, that's the best thing. And my mind is not with what people used to say, you are nothing. It's saying you can change and God can change, and we are here to help you. So Compassion.
That's incredible. Do you know, Gareth, one of the common questions that we get, Compassion is, you sponsor one child in the family, you register one child in the family. Isn't that unfair on the rest of the family, the other siblings? And the reality is, if we were to register every child in the family, that family would do well, but we're limiting our resources to help other families. So we do register one child normally. But this is what Regina has been talking about, this spillover effect that impacts the rest of the family as well. The whole family's health begins to change. Their whole economic situation begins to change. There's help and there's support from the local church. And, that dignity and respect that we've talked about, each one of them can know. And also, the opportunity to know and love the Lord as well. So this is just a prime example. If you're out there wondering today, well, what about the rest of the family? What about others? Why don't they get the same benefit? This is living proof in Regina that that is true and that she has benefited as well.
It is life-changing stuff, and it is life-changing stuff for the sum of £28 a month. You can empower somebody to overcome poverty. But as Tim said, and Regina, there is this trickle-down effect. So your £28, it will help the whole family as well. And it's really crucial, this work that Compassion are doing around the whole world, and they're giving children and families a future. So if you go to their website, compassionuk.org, you can find out everything you need to. And there will be people listening to this who can't sponsor. They haven't got the financial resources to do so. But what you can do is to pray for Compassion and the work that they're doing, or you can maybe join them as a volunteer. We spoke about that a few weeks ago. It's all on our socials, in fact. Have a look. But it's always nice to hear things from other family members. So, Regina, thank you very much for your time. And it's so great to hear what you're up to now. Well, in fact, we haven't really asked much about what you are up to now, but I meant in a sense that you're here in the UK, you've now got a family. What actually are you up to now? So you're working close with Compassion, aren't you, still?
Yeah, I still work with, I help them with the speaking, and also I'm doing a receptionist job and also cleaning at the university here in Kingston, which for me is
Excellent. Well, we'll be praying for you, and thank you for being a part of the show. And again, everything you need to know and everything you need to read, compassionuk.org. Thank you, Tim, and we'll catch up in a few weeks.
Thanks, Gareth.